Welcome back to another enlightening episode of MH Knows or She Knows Someone Who Does, preparing clients for home inspections. I'm your host, Marianne Holt, and today we have a remarkable expert with us, someone who truly understands the intricacies of helping new realtors, sellers, and buyers navigate the home inspection process. I am thrilled to welcome back our distinguished guest, Simone on Homes, the CEO of Abundant Home Inspection. With her wealth of experience in the real estate industry, Simone is an expert in home inspections and a trusted advisor dedicated to ensuring that sellers and first-time homebuyers have a seamless journey into home ownership. Simone's expertise goes well beyond the surface, delving deep into the critical aspects of preparing clients for home inspections and understanding the importance of this process for new agents, buyers, and sellers alike. Today, we will explore the essential aspects of home inspections with Simone, providing valuable insights into the do's and don'ts during and after the crucial step in home buying and selling. Simone is not just a CEO, she's a passionate advocate for education and empowerment in the real estate industry. She's here to share her insights, wisdom, and actionable advice that can empower you or someone you know to step into the world of home ownership confidently. So without further ado, let's dive into our conversation with Simone. Get ready to gain insights, debunk myths, and discover the strategies that could redefine your path to becoming a homeowner. Simone and I talk about this industry often, and we talk about the things that we see people doing right, and we talk about the stuff that people aren't doing so well. So one of the issues that we were talking about was how some realtors don't know how to prep their client for the inspection. And so the topic title is Tips for Real Estate Agents Preparing Clients for Home Inspections and Why It's Crucial for New Agents. And I have Simone, CEO of Abundant Home Inspection. She's here with us today. She's going to be talking to us from a home inspector perspective. She's going to talk about some tips, some ideas that she has for realtors. And so this is going to be a great show. And so she's here listening to me babble. Simone, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Yes, that was really a long conversation we had, and that's why we decided to actually make it a podcast, because it's not that real estate agents are doing anything wrong. It's just some things they can do better.
Right.
And I learned this from walking around with their buyers, the things that the buyers say. And then as the home inspector, the different phone calls I get after the person has moved into the house. So from that, I said, okay, here's some tips for the listing agent and the seller to prepare the house for the home inspection. And here's some tips for the realtor to prepare their buyer for the home inspection, and some tips for the buyer.
Okay.
What they should need to look forward to.
Okay. So in this episode, the topics that we're going to discuss is understanding the basics. What are the fundamental aspects of home inspection? Preparation tips for agents, educating clients, navigating inspection reports, dealing with unexpected discoveries, building relationships with inspectors, post-inspection negotiations, and tips for new agents. So that's what we're going to be discussing. And I want to dive right in. And I want to ask Simone, what are the fundamental aspects of a home inspection that every real estate agent should be aware of?
The fundamentals are, one of the things is you want to tell your client about what's going to be inspected. Let them know we're inspecting the roof, the whole plumbing system, the whole heating system, the whole electrical system, the structure of the house, the foundation of the house, the interior and the exterior of the house. And also letting their client know that the home inspector works for them, the buyer, not the real estate agent, and that we're given a non-biased assessment of the condition of that property.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so you talked about what are the key areas that inspectors focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And how does the home inspection process normally, what does it look like?
We usually are at the inspection before anybody else gets there. We usually at the seller is usually not present. We come in and we set up everything to get prepared for the buyer to come. We usually want to do the roof first. So when by the time the buyer gets there, we're on the roof inspecting the roof. We come down, and once we come down, we go inside. We go over the paperwork with them. We answer any questions they may have. We ask them what their concerns are. So when we get to that area, we can focus more on that concern, give them peace of mind of what's going on in that area. The person walks around with the home inspector. We show them what we're looking at, what we're looking for, what we see, and what we tell them we put into the report. Anything that's a major defect, there will be pictures of that in the report.
What can real estate agents do to prepare their clients for a home inspection? And are there common issues or mistakes clients make during inspections, and how can agents help them avoid these?
Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the listing agent. The listing agent and the seller. You want to get that house off the market. You want it to sell as quickly as possible, and you want to eliminate any problems. One of the things I suggest is that the house, regarding the seller and the listing agent, make sure the house is clean and decluttered. A clean, organized space makes it easier for the inspector to get around and do the things that we have to do, so we don't have to come back. And home inspectors are not required to move things, so we're in and out quicker if we don't have to move things. And it also means we don't have to put in a report that we didn't inspect something because something was in the way. Any minor repairs, like fixing minor issues, like leaking faucets, loose doorknobs, broken light fixtures. These small repairs can create a positive impression of the house, and it lessens the anxiety of the buyer, because if these small things aren't taken care of, then what about the big things? And it just looks better. Service the major systems. Have the heating system and the air conditioner serviced prior to the inspection. Have an electrician come in and look at the electric panel and straighten up anything that needs to be taken care of. By the likelihood of minor problems becoming major concerns, it gives the buyers anxiety. So take your little minor things that you can take care of. That little crack that's in the wall, spackle it, sand it, repaint. Buyers see cracks, they feel like the whole house has structural issues and it's going to fall down. So take care of things like that. Test all the smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide detectors. Change the batteries. If they're more than 10 years old, they're old. Get brand new ones. I know in Philadelphia, you're required to have smoke detectors on every level of the house. So, and that's one of the things we will put in the home inspection report. If we don't see them and they're not located in the right areas, that's going to go into the home inspection report. So you want the buyer to focus on anything that's major, and so have those things already taken care of. Clean access to all the key areas. For example, we need to get in the garage.
Right.
So make sure you don't have a lot of storage by the garage door that we can't open the garage door and we can't test the garage door. The bathroom access panel to the bathtub plumbing pipes. Make sure that closet is cleaned out so we can get in and out of your attics. We have to get into the attics. We have to get into the crawl spaces. So have all those things taken care of, decluttered, cleaned out. And then make sure all the utilities are turned on.
Yes.
Sometimes the water is turned, especially if the house has been vacant. Sometimes they have certain utilities turned off. The gas might be turned off. Have those things turned on so the home inspector can provide a full home inspection for the buyer. Because when those things aren't on, the buyers think you're hiding something.
True.
All right. And then empty out the appliances. For instance, people like to store things in their stoves. I did an inspection at a house one time and they had the baby's bottles and stuff in there. They were plastic. I turned the stove on, and I had to leave them $20 to replace.
Oh, that I'm glad you mentioned that, because I've never seen anything like that. But I guess that can happen. Okay.
And that's part of our process. Now we go and open and look at everything and take everything out first. Microwaves, people like to store stuff in their microwaves. People like to store stuff in a dishwasher. Now, on that note, if you are selling a house and you have a dishwasher, we don't mind, because that uses up a lot of water. Put that little pod thing in there, and once we turn on, so your dishes can get washed during the home inspection. Instead of you washing them and then we come in and run your water again. All right.
I like that.
Yeah, and be prepared to leave during the home inspection. Okay. Your home inspectors are licensed, insured, bonded. We know we're responsible for what goes on in that house at that time. And it makes it easier for the buyers to feel comfortable to ask any questions. Because when you're around, there may be something that they're concerned about and they don't feel comfortable asking that question. And then lastly, consider having a pre-market home inspection before you even put the house on the market, where we can go in there and we can tell you what a home inspector is going to find, so you can take care of all those issues. We can tell you the things that are going to scare a buyer, so you can already address those issues, because they're going to come up later, but that also prolongs the process. If you take care of it prior to those things, to even putting it on the market, then, you get, there's a real estate agent that I've worked with who's a listing agent. She requires all of her sellers to have a pre-market home inspection. It helps you out because sellers tend to think their houses are in better shape than they are.
True.
And they think their houses are worth more than they are. The home inspector comes in there. We end up verifying what you've already shared with them without us even ever having a conversation with you. So those are some of the things that a listing agent can get in contact with. And I keep a record. I keep this list. So if anybody was ever interested in contacting me and getting some ideas on how the listing agent or the seller should prepare for the home inspection, I can do that.
Okay. All right. So those are some great points. And as an agent, and I've listed properties, and I found that it's best to give sellers proper expectations.
Right.
Be very honest. And when you're a seasoned agent, you probably know this more so than a new agent, because a seasoned agent typically knows what it's like to go to home inspections in the beginning. And so there's things that we can identify from the very beginning. So when we're talking to our seller and we're looking at their home, it's important to set real expectations. It's important to tell them that these are the things that the home inspector may notice or that they're going to notice. And, just kind of point that out. So that's important. And then also, like you said, Simone, you provide a service where you can actually do a pre-inspection. And I think that would be a great idea. I think, how much would something like that cost, a pre-inspection?
The pre-market home inspection is the same price as a home inspection, because we're doing the same thing. Climbing on a roof, going in a crawl space, climbing in the attic, looking up the fireplace, all those focusing on safety issues and major stuff. And as an experienced home inspector, I know the things that scare home buyers, so I'm able to tell you those things. And in addition to that, I'm able to also help market your property now that we did the home inspection.
Okay. All right. And so let's say the seller does decide to get a pre-home inspection. That's what you call it, right?
Pre-market or pre-listing.
Pre-market, pre-listing home inspection. And they pay the regular price. If they have a buyer that's interested in that property, would the buyer be able to get a discount on the home inspection since you've been there already?
Yep, they'll get a major discount, as a matter of fact, because the average home inspection is $400 plus. All right, say a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house with a garage is usually $400 plus to get that home inspection done. We charge the regular price to the seller, but now the buyer, when they come, we are going to walk through. We've already been there. I only charge $199. You're not
Oh
going to
my
get a home
God.
inspection for that. Yeah. I charge $199. We already did the inspection. So basically I'm going through and proving to you that what's in the report is what was actually found, number one. And two, if the seller made repairs, now you can see that the repairs, the defect we found the day of the inspection has now been repaired. And I also recommend that the seller have receipts, invoices to show that those repairs have been made, and any pictures if possible of the
Absolutely.
repairs, especially a roof. If we recommended something for the roof, then it's good to have pictures of what the roof looked like before and what the roof looks like now to show that they've been done. But yes, they do get a discount, $199. And that's
Okay.
basically just paying for my time. And the reason that we do that is we have certain slots for home inspections. So if I'm coming back, that means I'm not going to be able to do an inspection for somebody else. So basically, you're just paying for my time. I'm there, and we take
Okay.
you through, walk you through the whole house, just as if you were getting a home inspection. We
Okay.
start outside. I point everything out. Go inside. Point everything out. We do the whole, run everything, turn everything on, so you can see that they are working, and you can see that the repairs have been made.
One of my sellers, they were the type of owners, landlords that did a lot of work on their property.
Mhm.
They were always on top of it. And so they saved receipts, right? So
Mhm.
before I listed their property, I made sure that they gave me all of those receipts. And I was able to get copies of them and upload them into MLS so
Mhm.
everybody could see what all they've done with this property. For
Mhm.
that reason, when they had the appraiser come out and the appraiser had access to that information,
Mhm.
I ended up getting the value that I needed. I ended up selling that property for more than any other property has sold for in that area.
Oh, get
And I
out of here.
truly, yes. And I truly believe it was because that information was provided and the appraiser was able to see that this was a building that was being well maintained.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're right. So now I could see maybe there's another seller out there and maybe they don't have that paperwork like this particular clients did, but with a pre-inspection, now they know what they need to do. And if they start working on it, now they know, start saving those receipts because that will actually help increase the value of your property.
Yeah.
I feel very strongly about that. So for the buyers, what are the tips that you have for real estate agents to prepare their buyers for the home inspection?
Okay, so for buyer's agent, I think you should explain the purpose of the home inspection. Start by explaining to the buyer that the home inspection is a critical part of the home buying process. It's an opportunity for them to access the condition of the property and identify any potential issues that require any repair or negotiation. By you letting them know that, especially when you go to the house to show them the property, you can already point out the home inspector is going to see that your water heater doesn't have a discharge pipe on there. That's an easy fix. It's a safety issue, so the home inspector is going to put it in the report, but it's not something that you need to be alarmed about. So that's one of the things for the buyer's agent. Explain the whole process. Provide a list of the different inspection items, get a buyer a general idea of what the inspector is going to evaluate. Like I was saying earlier when I went on a tangent, all the things, all the things that we're going to inspect, so they'll have the peace of mind. Often when I get phone calls, the buyers are asking me, "Are you going to get on a roof? Are you going to do this? The air conditioner looks old. The central air looks old." So let them know that those are things that are part of the home inspection, and then emphasize the importance of them attending the home inspection. Encourage the buyer to attend the inspection if possible. Sometimes there are people from out of town and they're not able to attend it because they're working, but being present allows them to ask questions and gain a better understanding of what we put in the report. Because if you were there, then when you read the report, you know what we're talking about because you were there. And then manage their expectations. Help the buyer to understand that no home is perfect and that the inspection is going to uncover some issues, some major, some minor. However, that doesn't mean it's a deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, let them know that the inspector is going to be there for about 2 hours or so. The
Mm-hmm.
inspector is going to find a lot of things, small and big. Don't become alarmed over that. And then when it comes to that, explain to them the negotiation process. Let them know once the inspection is over, we're going to read over the home inspection report. At Abundant, we do an after inspection consultation where I'm able to go over the report with the buyer and the buyer's agent. We're going to go over the report, and then the things that the buyer is concerned about, let the buyer's agent let them know that I'm going to negotiate those things for you with the seller, where the seller may drop the price, they may give you a credit, they may make repairs. Make sure you give them a list of reputable inspectors. I know a lot of agents don't want to send them to a particular home inspection company because of the liability that comes with it. Because if the inspector screws up, then the buyer's going to get mad at you. But send them a list of home inspectors. Whoever they have a rapport with over the phone, they can pick the person that they're comfortable with, and then encourage them to do their own due diligence. Once the home inspector says, recommend further evaluation by a roofer or a plumber for them to come in and look and see what needs to be done to be fixed, do that so you know what it's going to cost. So when you do your negotiations, you know what to ask for.
Okay.
All right. But those are some of the things for the buyer's agent.
I think another part of the question, because I remember you telling me these things, and I've experienced them as an agent, and it can be challenging. Another common mistake that buyers make when going to a home inspection is bringing their family.
Oh, girl. Oh, girl.
I literally had a situation where my client had to put his brother out because it was ridiculous. He was walking around. My client was walking around with Jamal. Jamal was the home inspector at the time. And you know how you take people through the home and you show them and you're explaining and you take one section at a time. His brother was in the basement like, come down here. Come down. I want you to see what's down here. And I said, okay, this is not going to work. The reason that's a problem because we do it systematically. We start outside. So if we're outside doing inspection and the brother is walking around not with us. Doing his own inspection.
Doing his own inspections, yeah. So see, sometimes family members, it's usually the girlfriend's boyfriend, the woman's father, or like you said, the brother that feels like the realtor and the home inspector are in cahoots, so they need to be present at the inspection to protect that buyer. But what they end up doing is scaring the buyer, and they end up confusing the buyer because now the buyer doesn't know who to listen to. Now, having your family present is not a good idea. Now, when that happens with us, I clearly let the family know, listen, they're going to be walking around with me. I'm going to tell them what I'm looking at, what I'm looking for, what I see, and give them recommendations. Stay with me so you can hear that. So if you have questions, you can ask it right there. And that way, nobody gets scared. I also tell them you can take notes and take pictures. Now, if they're taking up too much of my time, asking too many questions because they don't trust us, at that point, I let them know, listen, take your pictures and write your notes. And at the end of the inspection, when I'm going, y'all can powwow and have your conversation. That's polite, right?
I think so.
Okay. So we can get out of there. But yeah, your family sometimes can be a problem.
Okay. All right. And then let's go into the topic 3, educating clients.
Okay.
Now, how can agents educate their clients about the importance of a home inspection? And part 2, what red flags or warning signs should clients be aware of when inspecting a property?
Okay, so as far as the buyer's agent, let your buyers know that one, the home inspector works for them, the buyer. They're not working for me, the real estate agent. That's why you want to give them a list of reputable home inspectors with Abundant Home Inspection Services on top. Okay, but let them know what's going to be inspected: the roof, the plumbing, the heating, the electrical, the structure, the foundation, the deck, the porch, the balcony. Let them know what the home inspector is going to inspect for them. And while you're there looking at the house, if you see anything that you know the inspector is going to call out, tell them the inspector is going to call that. But this is how I usually address that type of issue.
Okay. What are the red flags or warning signs a client should be aware of when inspecting a property, when they're at the inspection?
This is more to the listing agent and to the sellers. Water stains on ceilings is a red flag to buyers. Patches on the ceilings. It may mean that you made the repair, but that's shoddy. I shouldn't know that you had to make that kind of repair. Major cracks. Those are red flag. Mold. Musty basement. Moist, musty. Those are red flags. And then a house that's not well maintained.
Okay.
And in all honesty, there's no such thing as an as-is property. True. Because once they have that home inspection, if things come up, they're going to ask for those things to be repaired. And then depending on the type of loan the buyer is getting, sometimes those repairs are going to be required to be made. But those are the things that I think are red flags. And also what's red flags to the buyer is when the listing agent and or the sellers are not, you can't get in touch with them. They're not responsive. They don't respond quick enough, or they sound defensive when the buyer or the buyer's agents are asking them particular things. And another thing is when a seller refuses to leave the house during the home inspection, and the seller decides to walk around with the home inspector, and
that's every time
flag. Yep. Every time we say something, then they say something behind the home inspector. That's happened.
Okay.
And it irritates the buyer.
Okay.
It irritates me.
It would irritate me too, as the agent. Okay.
Yeah.
Navigating inspection reports. And we know they're not easy to read. I mean, for you they are, but for us, if you're not used to looking at it and the buyer's feeling a little overwhelmed anyway, how can an agent assist clients in understanding the details mentioned in the home inspection?
Okay, now your home inspector at the beginning of the inspection should explain how the report is going to look to them. And again, we do an after inspection consultation where we're able to go over the report with you. But I believe most home inspectors do this. I only worked with myself. So as a real estate agent, you may notice we do a major defect page. So we do the whole entire inspection, the whole entire inspection report. We put pictures of anything that's a safety issue, pictures of anything that's a major defect, meaning it can cost a lot of money, pictures of the roof, and pictures where all your shutoffs are at the electric panel, the water meter, and so forth. So you want to read the whole report, but the major defect page lists the things that before you move into that house, you want to find out what's going to happen with that. Am I going to fix it? Is the seller going to fix it? I mean, the buyer. Is the buyer going to fix it? Is the seller going to fix it? Those type of things. The major defect page are going to have things that are safety issues that may only cost $5 to fix, but it's a safety issue. Major defects, and then things that we say, that stove is working, but it's old. It's at the end of its serviceable life. So even though it was working during the inspection, the day you move in, it might go out on you.
Okay.
So those are the things that you want as the buyer and as the buyer's agent. You want to pay attention to those things. And usually they're in the report and on a separate major defect page.
Okay. What are the most critical findings in a report that could significantly impact a buying decision?
I'm going to say structural issues that are clearly a structural issue, and your roof. Roofs are expensive, one. Number two, the buyer, the seller, the homeowner, they never really know if the roofer did what they're supposed to do because nobody goes up on a roof. So structural issues, problems with the roof, problems with the heating system, problems with the air conditioning system, problems with the electrical system. Those are the things that scare people and could affect whether that person's want to buy that house or not.
Okay. Topic 5, dealing with unexpected discoveries. How should an agent and client handle unexpected issues during a home inspection?
I think that they should handle it the same way they would find any. When you say unexpected, to me, that sounds like something that was major, that will have a major impact on whether that person's going to buy that house. I think they should handle it the same way they would handle anything else. Go over it and then negotiate it with the listing agent, with the seller and the seller's agent. We found this. This is how much it's going to cost to fix it. How do we address this issue? Because it's going to have to be addressed now that we found it. If the seller and the listing agent are honest, if they don't fix it for that current buyer, they're going to have to put it in the seller's disclosure because now they know about it. So why not just go ahead and take care of it in that place? I don't see, unless you have a suggestion, but I think you should handle it the same way.
I'm thinking about a situation, and you did the inspection, and it was for my cousin.
Okay.
And when they went to see the property, there was an unexpected issue.
Yeah.
And, what happened was, initially when they first went to see the property, they noticed that the faucet in the bathroom was taped up. Okay. And so the agent did ask the seller about that. And the seller said that, or the seller's representative said that it was due to their painting around the bathroom area, and they didn't want the faucets to get messed up, right? So Miss Simone, when she got to the inspection, she took that tape off and ran the water like that's what she do. And all of a sudden, they saw water pouring from the bathroom down to the dining room area, coming through the ceiling. In the seller's disclosure, it said they didn't have any plumbing issues.
I remember that we went in one of the things we do when we get to the property, especially if it's a property that's been vacant, is we turn the water on immediately when we get there so we can find any leaks or anything like that. Because if nobody's living in the house, they haven't been running the water consistently. So we do that at the beginning of the inspection, and we let the water run for almost that 2 hours. Not hard, just run. And you're right. We got in. I got there. I went upstairs and I saw that it had tape in a washcloth or a towel around it. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And I took it all off so I could run it. And as I'm turning on other things in the bathroom, it was the buyer's agent or it was your cousin said, oh, the water is coming down here. So I'm thinking it's just dripping. So I didn't turn the water off right away. I went down and it literally was pouring as if there was no walls or floors or anything between that bathtub and that. That was definitely unexpected. And that was a turn off, and she ended up not getting that house.
And I'm going to tell you straight out, sellers, if I was the buyer's agent and we got the seller's disclosure saying that there wasn't any problems, and then we went there and we saw the taped up faucet, and your agent tells us that it was due to paint, and we clearly find out that that was all a lie, and it was because, and now this water is pouring through, I'm going to tell you now, I would convince my client not to buy your house. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we would be concerned that it's more that you're hiding. So, let's be honest. Let's be honest in these transactions.
Yeah.
Because, I get that you want to sell your property, and I know you want top dollar. I get that. But you got somebody, single mom who's living on a regular income, who's trying to buy her first home. Don't be screwing anybody. Now, that's my thing. But
that's everybody's thing. You be honest be honest. And you know what? If you found things that you would not have put an offer in on that house had you been aware of that, and the sellers are aware of that, then give me my home inspection money back.
Right. Because I agree with that. I felt like she should have got her home inspection money back too. I really do. Because, again, it wasn't disclosed. But not only was it not disclosed, when the agent called and asked about it, she was lied to.
Right. And for that reason,
yes,
I would ask for my home inspection money back.
Yes.
Because we ended up finding other major
problems in that house. I'm so glad she didn't buy that house, because she would probably be suffering right now dealing with that money pit.
Yeah.
Building relationships with inspectors. What is the role of a real estate agent in building a positive relationship with home inspectors?
That's a good question, because in the real estate industry or any business, it's about building relationships. You want to deal with people with good character, people with integrity, home inspectors that are good with communicating with the buyers and being able to communicate with the buyers in a way that the buyers feel confident after they've had that inspection, that they understand the condition of that property. A home inspector that's accessible to both you and your clients. To be quite honest, you can call me anytime, as long as you're not being crazy about it. Now, does that mean I'm going to answer my phone anytime? I might not answer the phone right away, but I will get back to you that same day or within an hour or so. Like, a reason I wouldn't answer the phone is I'm eating right now, or I'm trying to meet a deadline or something like that, but I would get in contact with you. But those, you want to have, and you want to work with an experienced home inspector, because we're the ones who know to look for things that nobody would know to look for. It just comes, especially when you're dealing with certain areas. I shared this with you before. There's certain areas that I know that have termite problems. Jamal just did an inspection like a week or two ago for somebody in Levittown. Levittown, they have termite problems, but they don't have basements. So Jamal, and it was a renovated property. So Jamal was very diligent at looking for termite damage, and he found it. And when Mike, our termite inspector, got there, Jamal was able to point that out to him, and they were able to do that. But if you have an inspector, that's a newly renovated property, and it was something that was real small. Had we not already known that area is known for that, we might not have put that extra into finding that.
Okay.
So that's when you don't, when it comes to building relationships with your home inspector, somebody who's on time, somebody who's responsive, somebody who's experienced, somebody who's good with different type personality. So you're not getting crazy emails and text messages and those kind of things.
I think another role an agent can do is, I think it's important, especially if you're new, to go with the buyer to the home inspection. I think it's important. I think that it does help you build a better relationship, and helps you to really get to understand your home inspector style. You know what I mean? So I think that's important. And then I also think for a home inspector to just do as they say they're going to do. If they say they're going to get you to report by a certain time, that has to happen. But then I also think that realtors also should be realistic about their expectation time. So it's like, basically everybody just needs to respect each other's
time. And each other's profession. Right. And don't as far as the time is concerned, I think that a buyer's agent should let their buyer know the basic cost of a home inspection is going to be close to $700 or more, depending on the size of the house. And so the buyer should have that money set aside. So as soon as their offer is accepted, they can go ahead and schedule the inspection right away, because reputable, experienced home inspectors are going to be booked up, and you don't want the home inspection to happen the day before you have the end of the contingency period.
Right.
All right. Right. Also, when it comes to agents developing a relationship with their home inspector, you said it to come to the home inspection. That way, the buyer's agent, if for some reason they can't attend another inspection, they'll know whether their buyers exaggerating a situation. Because I've had that where buyers exaggerated what we told them, and now they don't want to buy the house anymore. If you know the inspector didn't tell them that. We're trained not to make mountains of molehills, and let people know that everything can be addressed. Also, by you have understanding the inspector's role and all the work that a home inspector does, you're not asking us, which is a pet peeve for me, can you drop your price? I've gotten that with real estate agents that have been working with me for a year, and they say, well, this person is this and that. Can you drop the price because so-and-so home inspection company only charges this? Well, you know what? They don't appreciate their value. I'm liable. Everybody is my friend until something goes wrong. So no, my price is my price. But if you're there as the realtor and you see all the work we do, you'll respect our price.
I agree.
I heard a realtor say, well, some home inspectors charge less and some people charge more. I don't know why the ones that charge more charge so much. That was disrespectful.
Yeah,
You're
I
paying.
agree.
We have to do continuing education every year. We have business license certifications that we have to take here. Other things that come along with running a business, and it's not like we're trying to get rich off of that one person. Our price is our price because we have financial responsibilities, and
Right, right.
we're experts. The same reason when if you get charged for murder, you want the top criminal attorney. You're not going in there asking him or her why. I don't know why you're charging that much when that other attorney that's losing all the cases charges less.
Right. Oh, and to post inspection negotiation. This is another tip. And I'm asking you from a home inspector perspective.
Mhm.
After the inspection, what are the common negotiation points and how can agents best represent their clients' interests? And what are some strategies for resolving disagreements between buyers and sellers regarding inspection findings? And the reason I'm asking you this, even though,
Mhm.
I know what I know on my end as an
Mhm.
agent, how
Mhm.
I would negotiate, but I'm curious to hear it from a home inspector. If somebody was looking at your report, what would you suggest an agent negotiate for?
When it comes to the real estate agent, first, I I said this before, but sometimes people don't listen or they might have missed this. Have the after inspection consultation with the home inspector. So,
Right.
because you know your buyer, you know their fears, you know their concerns, have that so those things can be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is the buyer wants to have addressed, with the exception of minor stuff, let them know that's minor. You can take care of that when you move
Mm-hmm.
in. Just put it on a priority list.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really important is making sure that due diligence is done. If
Mm-hmm.
the home inspector says have a roofer or somebody come in, have an actual roofer come take a look at it.
Right.
I'm not sure if I answered your question.
You're answering it. I guess I'm thinking in terms of when I am looking at an inspection with my client
Okay.
and we're thinking, well, what do we want to ask the seller for?
Mm-hmm.
I first of all, I set proper expectations with my buyers, and I let
Mm-hmm.
them know that the home inspection report does not mean that you're going to get everything fixed, and that's not
Right.
something you should expect. It's a
Right.
give and take. This is negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
Negotiation is about giving and taking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so when we're looking at the report, I'm more interested in the stuff that's serious, the stuff that's
Right.
expensive, and the stuff that's severe safety concern.
Anything that involves the roof, the plumbing system, the major pipes that come in and out of the walls, the
Mm-hmm.
heating system, the electric, those are major issues that cost a lot of money to fix. And sometimes the HVAC contractor, the electrician, the plumber, once they go in and look at what we actually were visually able to see, they find something a whole lot bigger. So
Mm-hmm.
anything that's a major system in the house, you definitely want to negotiate
Mm-hmm.
prior to the selling of that house, that those things are further evaluated by somebody who specializes in those particular areas. And then ask the sellers to provide receipts, who fixed it, with their name, their address, their phone number, their email
Mm-hmm.
address on there,
Mm-hmm.
their website,
Mm-hmm.
the address of their brick and mortar building.
Mm-hmm.
So if they didn't actually fix it the right way, you have somebody to go back to, because after closing, people disappear on you. And I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
share something real quick. I did a home inspection for a young lady earlier this year, or was last year, and her real estate agent didn't really know me. He didn't attend the inspection. I spent a significant amount of time with her. She asked him for the things that she wanted to have repaired, and they went to do the final walkthrough of the house and
Mm-hmm.
found out none of the repairs had been made. And he took her to the closing table knowing that. And one of the things that wasn't working was the air conditioning system, but the air conditioning system was working the day of the inspection. He still went to closing with her, knowing that what they asked had not been fixed, and now knowing something else was fixed. And she called me on the phone, screaming and hollering at the people, because they went to closing.
Mm-hmm.
and those things didn't get addressed. And of course, even though I assisted her, you actually helped me with that, Marianne, because when she told me that her agent took her to closing anyway, and none of those things were negotiated for her, I didn't know what her recourse was as far as her representation with her agent. And you shared with me some things that shared with her, but she still thought I should take care of those things, even though it was in the home inspection report. I'm not going to do that. Okay. But when it comes to that's really important. That's an example of how the agent should not. That agent should have either not had closing that day or had a large amount of money put in escrow or somewhere so she can get all those things fixed. And I guess whatever money was left over would go back to the sellers or something. But as a real estate agent, represent your clients well.
Yes.
Represent your clients well.
We have a fiduciary responsibility to represent our clients, and we should do that. And that's another example of, building relationships with your home inspector, because you don't really want situations like that to happen, and you don't want here, once you've closed, now your client is upset because the very thing that was caught on the report, they didn't get it taken care of because the realtor minimized it. You can't do that. If the home inspection says that this is major, then it's major. You're not a home inspector.
And if the home inspection report says have it fixed or further evaluated by somebody, because she had all the young lady I just spoke to you about, she had the specialists coming after she already moved in the house. And she was finding out that some of the things that I found cost like thousands of dollars. And she did not have the money to take care of that.
And had the agent who's representing her did his due diligence and saw to it that someone went out there prior to settlement, that would have been resolved before they got to the table. That's how it's supposed to be.
I also highly recommend that after the inspection is over, you have the after inspection consultation, you do your negotiations, the seller agrees on whatever they agreed on, that you ask them to provide receipts and everything. And then you have a re-inspection of the things that the seller said that they were going to fix. Because often, every time I do a re-inspection, the things were not fixed or they weren't fixed they weren't fixed properly. That's the importance of having a re-inspection. Waiting to go back the day of closing and do a final walkthrough and find out things are not done. I don't know anybody who has done that and still didn't end up having problems afterwards.
And how much is a re-inspection?
It's only $150. It's one of those things where you're just paying me for my time for going back out there.
All right. And so, listeners, you hear that. When you get your home inspected, a re-inspection is really very important. And it's $150. Don't get cheap now. This is not the time to get cheap.
Yeah, you're buying a house.
You're buying
a house. Yeah.
Okay. So make sure that you set aside that $150 or whatever that cost is for that re-inspection. You got to set that aside.
Let me share something that just happened last week or the week before last. We did a re-inspection. Jamal and I went out and did a re-inspection. The heater, their boiler wasn't on. I don't remember if it was because the gas wasn't on, but for some reason we weren't able to run the boiler. And I explained to the buyer, of course, the importance of having that, letting the sellers know. The sellers had it turned on when we went back to the re-inspection, but it wasn't working the way it was supposed to. There were things that we specifically said, make sure these things are operating properly. The temperature pressure relief valve was leaking. They had a bucket under it. All right. That's a major issue. That's a safety issue. That turned the buyer off. Okay. They're supposed to go to closing later on in this week, and now the heating system is still not working the way it's supposed to. So, and what happens also is sometimes the sellers hire contractors to go out there and do the work, and they've already paid them, and they don't know that the people they hired did not do the work or didn't do the work up to par.
Right. Okay. Now, my final question is it almost sounds like a summary of everything we discussed. So this will be our last words on this, okay? Tips for new agents. What advice do you have for new agents regarding managing client expectations during inspections? And what common pitfalls should new agents avoid when dealing with a home inspection?
I'm going to answer the last question. Number one, a major pitfall is you not attending the home inspection because your client will make mountains out of molehills. If you're at the home inspection, you already know what the home inspector said. And the home inspector is also able to give you advice on how to deal with that situation.
Yes.
And that actually answers everything you just asked me. Be present at the home inspection.
Yes.
You're a new agent. You don't know what's major and what's minor. By you attending the home inspection, the home inspector will tell you what's major, what's minor. We'll be able to tell you an estimate of what it will cost to fix it. We will be able to tell you what it will take to fix it, so you know whether it's major or it's minor. And again, it prevents your buyer from coming back to you and making a mountain out of a molehill. Side note, sometimes buyers are already having buyer's remorse and they don't want to buy that house anymore. So even if it's a minor thing, the home inspection report is the only thing that gets them out of that house now that they've put their earnest money down and so forth. So anything that's in there, this way you already know, no, that was just a little leak at the drain in the first floor bathroom that just needed some Teflon tape around it to fix that.
Right.
And let me add this. The home inspection is a non-biased report on the condition of the property. I work specifically for the person who is paying me the money. So I'm giving them all the information. I am not allowed to talk to anybody else without the person who paid me money saying I can talk to that person. Okay. So when it's time for the listing agent or the sellers to make repairs, I have to say to the buyer, if they need to call me, the sellers need to call me, is it okay that I explain to them what actually needs to be done so that can be fixed?
Do you ever have sellers call you?
I do.
Okay.
I do. They will say if they didn't understand something, and I'll explain what needs to be done. I'll go back out there and point it out to them so they'll see exactly what I was talking about. And then sometimes the sellers call me to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about.
Do sellers? That's interesting. Do sellers agents ever call you to?
I'm gonna be quite honest. They want to know as little as possible, so it's very rare. The time that a seller's agent will call me is when they actually want to do right by everybody.
Oh, okay.
It's very rare that the seller's agent will call them. The seller's agent and the sellers, they try their best not to have any kind of conversations with me at all. And when I'm talking to anybody, I try to make sure that I don't cross any lines. Okay. I'm sticking specifically with what I inspected and what needs to be done to I give recommendations.
Okay. Do you have any final words for our agents, especially our new agents?
Okay, well, not to beat a dead horse, I just think it's really important that you attend the home inspection for the purposes I said, so you know what's going on, so you'll know how to negotiate what's going on with the house, so your clients can't make mountains out of molehills, so the sellers can't tell you something that's not going on that you clearly saw was going on. And once you attend enough home inspections, when you start taking your buyers out prospecting, looking at houses, you can tell them from the door, no, we're not even going to go in there because of some things that you see. Or once you walk through the house, there's too many things going on. And these are the things my unprofessional eye know seeing. There's no telling what the home inspector is going to tell, because not only that, because you know what your buyers, your clients' resources are, whether they have the money or the people to fix it. But you also, it has to do with the relationship that you were already having with the listing agent and the sellers. You already know that they're not going to fix certain things, or they're going to give you a hard way about certain things. So by you attending the home inspection, you just learn a lot.
And there you have it, folks. What an insightful conversation we had with Simone Cartwright. I hope you found Simone's expertise and practical advice as inspiring as I did. Whether you're a new real estate agent, a first-time buyer, or a seller looking to understand the intricacies of home inspections, Simone has provided a wealth of knowledge to guide you on your journey. As we conclude this episode, remember, that education is the cornerstone of successful real estate transactions. Simone has illuminated the path, and we encourage you to explore her insights further, especially if you're a new agent stepping into the world of real estate. A heartfelt thank you to Simone for sharing her wealth of knowledge and providing us with valuable insights into preparing our clients for home inspections. And to our dedicated listeners, thank you for joining us on this enlightening episode of MH Knows or She Knows Someone Who Does, preparing clients for home inspections. I am committed to continuing this journey with you, bringing you more real estate wisdom and introduce you to experts who truly understand the intricacies of their field. If you found today's episode valuable, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Your feedback helps me continue to provide you with quality content. Until next time, this is Marianne Holt signing off and reminding you that knowledge is the key to your success when it comes to real estate. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, MH knows or she knows someone who does. Take care.